in here. We're rolling. And thank you to Joel Wilson for making it happen in master control at the Grand Ole Opry House. Jeff Roberts with a couple of days off this week. It's the 30th anniversary celebration of Coffee, Country, and Cody, and we did it in a big way last night at the Grand Ole Opry.
Woo, we did.
With a special Opry Country Classics, and Eryn and Charlie and Annie were all there, and I got to bring my family and friends, and I had a block of like 25 people that joined us, and then we had clients, employees, and we had a grand time at the Grand Ole Opry, celebrating my 30th anniversary last night. Larry Gatlin hosted.
Oh, yes. And
Charlie was at the podium and did a remarkable job of keeping him, for the most part, where he was supposed to be.
Listen, for the most part, is a win.
Yes. A win's a win.
I mean, that's a win.
Yeah.
My dad's famous quote, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. I say that after every show we do here every morning.
Absolutely.
And just like a bunch of Christmas elves, we're already getting started on the next 30th anniversary. We're celebrating for Bill and WSM for the 60th. We
will be 95.
Yes.
But how old will you be, young lady?
In 30 years, I will be
57. 57.
It's too.
Say it out loud.
57.
Look at me in my eyes and say it out loud.
57. It's too early to do math like that, Bill.
We should do one of those things where they are able to tell you what you're going to look like when you're, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road.
Oh. Do I want to see that?
A 57-year-old Eryn Cooper.
I already feel 57. Nashville will do that to you.
Yeah, early morning radio will too. And Kelly Sutton is stage coaching this weekend out in the desert in Indio, California, as a part of that big festival representing Amazon. And so we miss her, but we got EC in with the top stories in entertainment.
That we do. We'll tell you how you can keep up with Kelly this weekend and watch her stagecoach coverage. Also, I will take just a little bit of credit for this and say that I foresaw a prophecy being fulfilled back in November when we chatted with Lainey Wilson during CMA Awards week. The clothing line.
I don't think you foresaw a prophecy. I think you prophesied.
I prophesized the prophecy.
Prophesied.
I foresaw the prophecy coming true.
Because the prophecy in and of itself is foreseeing.
So
you
I'm
can't
being
foresee
redundant
the
is what you're
foreseeing.
saying.
It's
Yes.
the Department of Redundancy Department.
Right.
Oh, yes. There's a great quote from the movie Dodgeball, the American Association of Dodgeball of America, from that classic movie.
And
I love that one.
If you can dodge a
wrench,
you can
dodge a ball. And traffic, just like here in Nashville.
Rip Torn, I believe, starred in that movie.
So, the prophecy that is being fulfilled.
There you go.
That's it. There we go. Again, it's too early. 4-hour nap last night. The clothing line that we can expect coming from her. Also, we will relive some of your favorite memories from last night for your 30th celebration at the Opry. And this is a bit of a pun. We'll see if you can predict it. The priceless coincidence of two babies being named at an Alabama hospital a few weeks ago.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Mr. Cody, it's Mr. Rogers, wishing you the happiest of 30th anniversaries at this great place, the Opry and WSM. I was listening to you before I ever made it to Nashville. Not long before, but a little before I ever made it to Nashville. You're one of my favorite people on planet Earth. Love you, buddy. Here's to the next 30 and beyond.
Hey Bill, it's Gary Mule here. Congratulations. 30 years, wow. When I was your age, I was saying things like, you want lids with these? Or fries? No, honest to God, man, I'm proud of you. It's a pleasure to know you, and next time I see you, I could use a few bucks.
I love that.
That and Carly Pierce telling me that having married her, my career had now outlasted her marriage by 29 years.
Whew.
Those two. Yeah, I could use a
Just
few
savage.
bucks.
I love it. I love it.
No, in Carly's defense, I will say your career has outlived many marriages in Music City. So
there aren't a lot of 30year country music marriages.
No,
frankly.
no,
Yep.
no.
In a row, at least,
yes.
as we
In a
always
row,
say.
yes,
In a
good
row.
Thank you, Henry Cho.
Yeah.
And I got cookies with my likeness on them last night. We had WSM microphones with the likeness on. I mean, it was just grand. And then a big cake to cut, and everybody got to enjoy it. And that cream cheese icing was to die for. Susie Bogus and I talked about it for 5 minutes.
Look at
cream
us.
cheese icing.
Look at us on Circle Country right now. Group photo of the WSM crew. Sans Kelly, because she's going to stagecoach, but
Yeah.
I can hear Ronnie Dunn here and said, "Brother, I could sing duet with you on this. Let's make a duet out of it."
You have my number, and you did not call.
Yeah.
But that's big fun, and you can follow Randy on all his socials, and he's got a big tour planned, solo stuff throughout the summer, but he gets into the fall in September, and Justin Moore, they're going out together. Was it Taking the Country Back or something like that, I believe?
That sounds
name
right,
of the tour.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It starts in Charlotte in September the 5th, I believe, which is Labor Day weekend.
You mentioned that being a potential song of the summer. We have now reached the time of year where every artist, country or otherwise, on the internet will post a video, ironically or unironically, and be like, did I just make the song of the summer and then play it? And it's like, you can't all have the song of
We've
the
had
summer.
a couple lately. One that comes to mind is Kenny Chesney's Born.
Yes.
Which is the title track of the new album.
Whole album.
That's a great summer anthem already.
Well, we're all here tripping over our words. I was being redundant about 30 minutes ago because we
Yes.
were out late celebrating you.
I actually suggested that we all get up and run around the complex just to kind of get our energy back this morning. Get something going. I've had coffee. I've had a little snack. I still was like, oh, boy, if I sat here for about 5 minutes, I could doze off.
I've done the opposite this morning. I come in early enough that every morning I do cardio
Yes.
around
Yeah.
the complex, and this morning I took the extra 25 minutes to sleep.
Honestly,
But I made up
that's-
for it by eating more.
That's so real.
that's a good combination of how to wake up.
That's so real.
And that show poster in my
Yeah.
honor last
The whole
night,
weekend.
I did, Joel might be able to put that. Can you get that?
Yep, he's got it.
And it's autographed by all the stars who were with me last night.
Oh,
That
look at
included-
that.
There's Marty Stewart and the fabulous superlatives, all of them. And then, of course, we had Don Schlitz, Susie Bogus, T. Graham Brown,
Yep.
Larry, Steve, and Rudy Gatlin. Did I leave anybody out?
Just
You got Marty, right?
I got Marty.
And the fabulous superlatives.
Yes, I did.
there you are with him on Circle Country.
Man, those cats. You talk about sharp-dressed men.
I want their outfits.
Yeah. And every once in a while, they all wear the same. But I loved last night, everybody had their own individual color. Like Chris Scruggs looked like he came off the Sgt. Pepper's album cover shoot.
Yes!
With that
Oh, my
outfit.
goodness.
He looked fantastic.
And my wife, of all these years, did not realize that Chris was Earl's grandson.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And she's like, really? And so she kind of zeroed in on him, you know.
Yeah. He took the spot of the Apostle Paul
He did.
when Paul went to do the family thing. Paul Martin.
And my wife, her claim to fame last night is that Don Schlitz recognized her by name
Yes.
for putting up with me for 44 years.
Oh, that's so cool.
Bill Cooley. Bill
Yeah,
Cooley.
Bill
I was Cosby, Cody, Cooley,
Cooley. Yeah.
Koozie. I was Koozie at one
that's
point
fun.
in the interview. So
If you ever want to change your radio name, that'd be a great one.
Yes.
Koozie.
when you say Koozie
Cruising
to me,
with Koozie.
I immediately default to the Boston Celtics of my childhood and Bob Cousy. So
Well, speaking of sharply dressed individuals, Lainey Wilson is definitely at the top of that list when it comes to country music nowadays. And back during CMA Awards Week, I asked her, because I just had a feeling this was something that needed to happen, would Lainey Wilson come out with her own hat line? Because she always has a gorgeous hat paired with a pair of bell bottoms. And she announced on Thursday that she has teamed up with Charlie One Horse for a new line of Western hats. If you're watching Circle Country right now, you can see some of these glorious hats here. She says, watching y'all come out to shows in your bells and hats only cemented my decision that we needed a special line just for all the cowgirls and cowboys out there looking to make a statement with their look, and that it's been such a joy working with Charlie One Horse to put together this collection of hats. My favorite one on their website, if you go to charlieonehorse.hats.com, it is a bright fire engine red hat that has little glittery metal studs embedded throughout the house. And Charlie, you said earlier that of the hats,
Yeah, that one is still available.
Okay.
Yeah, but 7 of the 13 are already sold out.
Okay.
So this has been a very
and
popular
it was 6
endeavor.
just an hour ago.
Yeah, oh, no, it is 6 of the 13.
Okay, I
7
was
are
like,
still available.
Guys,
7 are-
I gotta go. I gotta go buy a
yeah,
hat.
that Lucky Me block is particularly popular
Ooh,
by
yes.
name. And they run anywhere from, I see, for a junior, 130, 210.
Yeah, your hat's 190. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. Maybe I gotta wait till next payday.
And for those of you who aren't into haberdashery, Charlie One Horse has that infamous logo that is the C. Mm-hmm. It looks like a C, but it's sideways, like a horseshoe.
Yes.
It's sideways with
Genius.
with the one. And I had my first Charlie One Horse hat in 1980. They had a display next to ours, WHAS in Louisville, at the Kentucky State Fair.
Oh, wow.
And I got one of their hats. I'm going to say 83, 84, somewhere along in there. Oh, and they were relatively new at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Well, the coincidence that I'm about to tell you about is unreal. I was telling Annie Nye, our studio director, this morning about this. In Huntsville, Alabama, follow me here, 2 families welcomed babies on the same day at the same hospital, and without knowing, the boy was named Johnny Cash and the girl was named June Carter. How did this happen? Well, the moms...
Well, first of all, we're in Alabama.
Yes.
Okay?
So...
Let's start there.
Okay.
You're in the birthplace of Bill Cody.
Yes.
Huntsville, the Rocket City.
Yes,
Let's
correct.
start with that part of the story. All right.
Yes, you're in Alabama. So that could explain a couple connections. But moms Sophie Clark and Nicole Davis said they couldn't resist meeting when they found out about this unreal coincidence that their babies were named after the late Grammy-winning country singer-songwriters who were married from 1968 until they passed in the same year in 2003. Nicole Davis said, I thought it was a bizarre coincidence and was like, you've got to be kidding me. And she told Good Morning America that she and her husband went back and forth with different names for their baby and eventually settled on Johnny Cash Davis, who they planned on calling Cash, which is actually somewhat of a popular kid name nowadays. And Clark, the other mother, Sophie Clark, she said her sister and husband were helping pick out the name because her husband is named Carter John. So they had a daughter and named her June Carter. Complete coincidence, no relation that we know of. And just on April 10th, two new superstars born in Huntsville.
Well, you have a degree from the big university down in Tuscaloosa.
That I do. Roll
you know
Tide.
you know the joke. Alabama, 5 million people, 8 last names.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Actually,
unfortunately.
it was Kentucky when I first saw it. But
It works for many in the Southeastern Conference.
Coffee, country, and Cody.
He's back. Sean of the South. Last saw him at the Grand Ole Opry House in Studio A because we couldn't get enough during a regular broadcast show. We had you stay over, and you performed for your fans in Studio A. That's where Hee Haw used to be, in the Statler Brothers.
Oh, man.
And that kind of thing.
And the Hee Haw Honeys.
Yeah. That's right.
That was what was going through my head.
So that was the last time you were here, I guess.
That was,
wasn't it?
That was last time. Very special. Very special. And you were the guy who announced me, and that made it all the better.
Well, last night we celebrated 30 years. My 30th anniversary. Actually, yesterday was the day 30 years ago.
Man, I was born 30 years ago.
And
Wow. Twins.
Charlie, speaking of Sean of the South, is there a better poster child for the South than Charlie Daniels and the Charlie Daniels Band? He was my first ever guest.
Wow.
And I had known him a few years prior in other markets where I'd worked, particularly in Orlando and San Antonio. So when they asked me here, they said, you want anybody in particular as your special guest on your first day? And I mean, I said, absolutely, Charlie Daniels.
Oh, wow.
And he was available and came in. And we served him. We had coffee service here in the hotel. And we served him, without him knowing it, chocolate raspberry truffle coffee that morning. Because he had all these gourmet coffee blends. It was so trendy in '94, I remember.
That does sound like a 94
And so I just went back,
thing.
got him a cup of coffee and put it out there, and he took a swig, and he just like puckered up and forced himself to swallow it. And Cody, ever since you left Texas, you started drinking hippie coffee. Well, you got a new album, new music out today. It's gonna be okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it gonna be okay?
Is
Well,
it?
I've been told.
All right.
I don't know. I've been told. Yeah, that's maybe my favorite phrase. So when we were trying to kick around a name, I just thought, you know what, like, we can't find a name, and nobody really cares what the name is anyway. So let's just say it's going to be okay.
So you are an author, a novelist. You're a columnist. You're a musician. So coming with that, a songwriter.
Well, not a great songwriter, but more of a I just try. I'm not a songwriter. I wouldn't call myself a songwriter. I wouldn't poison the industry by saying, you know.
Well, Mark Colley, who is a songwriter and a good one, once said that the great ones you write last forever, and the bad ones you write never get any better.
I would say that defines my whole career. Right?
I also feel like this is what a good songwriter would say. Like, I'm not a good songwriter. Is a great songwriter.
It's coming to Nashville. I realized that I'm really not good at anything. It's such a humbling experience just driving over and getting into town. You look at all these billboards and everything, and you think, well, I do some of that, but I'm not like him, and I do some. Well, I'm not like him either. And then you just kind of tuck your head and.
Well, take me back to the Opry experience, though, because what you do is not necessarily exactly what the Grand Ole Opry is, and then once you're there, it's exactly what the Grand Ole Opry is. Did you find that, man, these are so obviously my people here tonight?
Oh, well, yeah, it was so interesting. Before I went on, seconds before I went on, the announcer that night, is it Mike?
Mike Terry.
Yeah, Mike Terry said, so what do you do? And I said, about what? And he said, you're a writer? We don't really get writers on the show. What are you? And I said, sir, I don't really know. And then, he got out there and announced me, and I walked out, and I thought, what am I doing? And I didn't really have a plan as to what I was going to do that night. But I've been doing my one-man train wreck before audiences in 42 different states, and they liked me.
And where did you follow? Where did you build your following? Was it through the podcast, Sean of the South?
It was kind of a multi-headed everything monster. It was mostly the writing. The writing started. I've been writing for about a decade. A column every day, from 500 to 800 words, and it's the only winning horse I've ever ridden. It just kind of. It took off, and it was in newspapers, and it was online.
How long does it take you
to write that? A good one or a bad one. It could take me anywhere from 3 hours to an hour.
But every day?
Every day. Yeah, for 10 years.
You write in the morning? You write at night? Middle of the day? What?
Yes. It depends, yes.
When the inspiration hits?
Sometimes when we're on the road, I'll be in the car, and I sit in the passenger seat. My wife drives, because that's the rule. When we got married, she drives, period. So I don't even remember how to drive a car, and so I'm sitting in my van.
Historically, at the Grand Ole Opry, that was the String Bean and Estelle model.
No kidding.
He never drove a vehicle.
Really?
She did the drive, and he did the ride.
Well, we were on the road for
now on the farm.
He drove a tractor.
I'm assuming he would drive a tractor or a team of horses
or the horses,
mules. Yeah.
Well, she drives, and we were on the road once for a long stretch, and I got home, and I couldn't figure out how to back my truck out of the driveway. I was really that crippled. Anyway, I'll write in the car, and so people asked me to come and talk, and I said, you don't want me to talk. I'm a talker, but I'm not a good, I'm not a great performer in that regard. There's a little library, Houston County Library, Dothan, Alabama. And I turned this lady down. I said, I don't want to do it. I don't really want to do this. She begged. She wore me down. I finally said, okay. So I thought we'd be in the back room of the library with maybe a few coffee urns and some stragglers. And we got there, and there were chairs set up, and people came, and they kept coming, and they kept coming. The next thing I know, they were standing on the sidewalk, and they were around the building, and I just weeping, just because I had no idea what I was going to do. And I got up to the microphone. I said, what do you want me to do? And they said, tell a story. And I thought, okay, well, here we go. So I told a funny story, and they said, well, sing us a song. I said, all right. So I sang a song. Well, tell us something about your life. And so that's how it went. The audience chose the set, and I've been doing it for about 10 years now, and we've never put out that we were going to do it, and performances just happen one after the other.
Wow.
First thing we're going to feature, you make your home these days. Your background includes Middle Tennessee for people who don't know.
That's right.
Maybe tell them a little about growing up in Florida and growing up here.
My daddy was a boomer, construction worker, iron worker, and he was one of the guys who helped build the GM plant, which was then the Saturn plant. And so we lived here for a hot minute. And
what time period in your life?
That would have been when I was from 5 to 7. From 5 to 7, or maybe.
So a very formative period in your life.
Yes, and we were always here. We were always at the Opry. That was how we blew off steam. And my mother when she came to my first Opry appearance, she sat in the same seat that we would always sit in, where she had changed my soiled diaper in the middle of a performance. And I said, "You changed my diaper in the middle of a performance?" She said, "Son, these are expensive seats."
As Dusty Slay says, we pay good money. Good money for these things. That's Sean of the South. We'll continue on Coffee, Country, and Cody. And these days, Birmingham ain't no ham like Birmingham.
That's it.
That's home.
That's right.
So give us the backstory on this song before we roll.
This song is a tribute to Birmingham, where my wife and I have been now for a few years, and we have really found our joy there. We found a lot of happiness there. So this was my tribute to the town of Birmingham.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
His work has appeared in Newsweek, Reader's Digest, Southern Living, Garden and Gun. He's authored 15 books, countless newspapers across the country. Sean of the South is on his way to the Grand Ole Opry tonight. Charlie, run your lineup for tonight, if you would. Charlie will be there to host.
I sure will. It's going to be a fun night. Jeannie Seeley, the artist who has performed on that historic stage more than anybody. Mark and Maggie O'Connor, Grammy Award winners, among many other awards. Charlie Worsham, Tommy Emmanuel. John R. Miller's going to make his Opry debut. So, Sean, you know what that feels like, what John's going to be feeling tonight. Tierra Kennedy, Sean Dietrich, and Ricky Skaggs is going to wrap it up. Who, by the way, gets credit, and maybe you're the one who gets credit, but who came up with Sean of the South? It's just so perfect of a moniker. You know?
You know what? I'd had a really bad week, and a friend of mine took me to breakfast, and I had just started this blog. She said, you need a name for what you're doing. I said, okay. She said, who's your favorite band? I said, I like Alabama. She said, well, let's do Song of the South. You'll just be Sean of the South. It was either that or Sean with the Wind.
Oh, my gosh.
And it stuck. It's what my wife calls me during arguments, you know.
The Waitress is today's article.
Yeah.
A truck stop, a little cafe somewhere off the Great American Highway. That's the way it starts. Tell us about this remarkable story.
Well, when I started writing about stuff, I had a choice to go and write about kind of like current events, or I could have written about things happening in my life, or I could write about other people. And I chose to focus the camera lens on other people because so many of the wrong people get so much attention, in my opinion. We've made stars out of some interesting folks. And so there's a lot of unsung heroes that I like to write about. So this lady was a truck stop waitress. I doubt she thinks anybody was watching her, but I was, just for this brief moment in time. And a car comes up to the truck stop, and this little kid gets out in a wheelchair that they're folding up and has cerebral palsy. And this waitress, I come to find out, is raising this kid, and it's her neighbor's child. I said, really, why would you do such a thing? And she said, well, you know, she'd raised 6 kids already. She said, nobody's a better mama than me. I know how to be a mama. She's in her mid-70s and raises this, you know, is going to raise this child. And
it was, what, fetal alcohol syndrome?
Yeah.
That caused the cerebral palsy?
Which is really...
That's the part of the story that killed me.
Me too, because I have a few friends who raise children who've gone through fetal alcohol, and it's anyway. So that was the tale I chose to tell for that day.
And you find out at the end as you're checking out that her son owns the business.
Yeah, right.
And he tells you, you said something about what a wonderful waitress she was.
He said, yeah, when Mama gets to heaven, there's going to be an autograph line a mile long to meet her. And I said, I'm going to be in it.
Oh.
And
you didn't know to that point in time.
See, those are
any
the
of those family
those are the moments for me when people ask, you know, how do you find your stories? And the truth is, I don't find them anymore. They find me. And if you really are in that zone where you're looking and watching, they'll find you. And there'll be many times where Jamie and I and my wife will be out in public, and something will happen, and she'll look at me and she'll say, I know, now you got to go right.
Wow.
Something just happened.
What a beautiful gift that is.
It really, well, it's changed my life. It's been a gift in my life to help me process the world around me and what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing as a human. And it's made life rich for me. There's many experiences I can't fully digest and appreciate until I've written about them and kind of found the thread.
You know, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got in radio very early on was, you know, if you're talking to someone, you got to listen. You can't just be thinking of your next question and totally miss everything you're saying. And that observation is just everything, because so much of life passes us by while we're in our head thinking about something else.
That is so true. Maybe that's why I enjoy being here so much, because I get to run my mouth.
I read we have a memory because we have a connection. And two people can experience the same event. And you say, you remember when? And the other person goes, no, I don't remember that at all. They didn't have a connection at that moment.
Wow.
But maybe you did, or they did and you didn't.
That's so true.
And that's why you have a memory of it. Like this truck stop waitress we just met in this article.
Yes. There's some that really stick out in my brain. And then there's some that I will have written and I have forgotten them. And someone will say, do you remember this thing? And I'll say, golly, I mean, if I wrote it a decade ago. And then I'll go back and look and I'll read it, and it's like reading it for the first time. Like, oh, yeah, wow, I do. I kind of remember that. Wow. Boy, that was really bad writing.
No.
Well, like Stephen Foster, our first great songwriter in America. You've come from Alabama with a banjo on your knee.
Hey, that's right.
Oh, wow.
I
Totally different treatment.
Oh,
Very
no,
bluesy treatment of what was originally that banjo song from Stephen
I'm with
Foster.
you. That's my favorite. That might be one of my favorite songs altogether. Just such a good song.
1854.
Wow. Wow.
The good ones you write last
I was only 5 years old.
Last forever. The bad ones you write never get any better. Mark Colley was right.
Full circle.
True.
Full circle.
That's true, yeah. That was a full circle.
Oh, gosh, it's great to see you. And thanks for coming to see us.
And congratulations to you. Not that you hadn't heard it 1,000 million times, but for 30 years, congrats.
Hey, Bill, Craig Morgan. You know I love you, buddy. I love you so much. I stole your picture from a radio station one time. Still have it, remember? Congratulations on 30 years. I mean, I can't hardly believe it. I didn't really know you were that old. But congratulations, buddy.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
So it wasn't from a radio station. It was between San Antonio and Corpus off Interstate 37. There was a little, I want to say it was a barbecue place. And we stopped in there to eat, and they recognized me from my morning radio show in San Antonio and asked for an autographed picture, which I did. Well, they framed the thing. I didn't know. I left. They framed it. It was up there. Craig and the band are coming through on tour. They stopped there to eat. This is like months, maybe years later. And he looks. He says, look, there's Bill Cody watching us, guys. And so he asked for the picture and brought me the picture.
Oh, that's wild.
Oh, my God.
Well, I'm going to go to Santa Fe Cantina after the show and go steal Jeannie Seeley's picture off their wall.
There you go.
Since Craig Morgan can do it, I can do it. That's right.
I always, whenever I go to shows, I love going to concerts. And I always, if I'm bold enough, will go to the bathroom and rip a poster or two off the wall, hopefully of the show. And I get scared every time that they're going to get mad. But I'm like, it's the show we're currently at. They don't need it anymore, right? So I can steal it.
When did vandalism become a part of your gig?
I have to have something interesting, something out of left field that is a part of me.
It was the Alabama sorority years, wasn't it?
It was the Alabama sorority years.
That's where you went wrong.
And it was Jelly Roll's cousin giving me a tattoo. I think that really kind of put the nail in the coffin with vandalism.
Don Schlitz was just as disturbed about that as I was.
We're all disturbed about it, but we've told the story how many times now? It's a great story, you know?
Oh, well, Eryn Cooper is in for Kelly Sutton, and Kelly Sutton is spending the weekend in California at Stagecoach.
Yes.
And she'll be back in here Tuesday.
We've given her specific instructions to corner Post Malone and get him to tell us anything and everything he can about his upcoming country project. We know that he's performing at Stagecoach, and he is, from what I can tell, the sweetest human being on planet Earth. Of course, other than Bill Cody, Charlie Mattos, and Annie Nye.
Well, so he's been featured on the Hicks tape, right, with Hardy. He's the very first song you hear with Taylor Swift on her new album.
Yes.
So I tell you what, he's everywhere.
And for the second time, he has teased a song coming out with Morgan Wallen, but we still don't have a release date for when that's coming out. So he's just all over it.
And started the year at the Super Bowl, as I recall.
Yes,
oh, yeah, doing
with America the Beautiful.
Yes, yeah, and was fantastic. I think.
Yeah, it was a very folky version of it. It was a very, right out of the Summer of Love, 1968. I mean, it just kind of felt like that.
Well, we have to relive a little bit more from last night's 30th anniversary celebration. One of my favorite details from the evening at the Opry, to honor you, Bill, were the face cookies.
Oh, yeah,
I believe we have a picture of those, but you're holding one right there.
Yeah.
Oh, look at all of us. in front of your cake with all of the cookies, the whole team minus Kelly Sutton and Lexi Carter.
Hey, we look good, though,
We look
I must
great.
say.
And then look at your face cookie. Look at that.
Yeah. So my granddaughter Lily, I look over, I went back to my seat, and she had eaten her cookie all except for Popo. She had eaten around my likeness here, right? And then she took it and gently placed it inside of her milk dud box for safekeeping. So.
And you had the great line earlier about...
if she were a 7-year-old boy, first thing would have been, ate Popo's head. Look at that right there. Popo ain't got no head.
like when you get the chocolate rabbits at Easter and just take the ears off, you know?
It's exactly the way it would have gone down.
All right, well... You have received many honors this week for your 30 years at WSM, and someone else that we love dearly who we have sadly lost, Toby Keith. He is receiving another posthumous honor. Toby Keith, known for his unwavering love of the University of Oklahoma, will receive an honorary degree from OU. Alongside Keith, esteemed figures such as educator Barbara Ann Posey Jones, the late Tom Love, and Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient David Proctor are also going to be recognized for their exceptional contributions to society. And we all know how much Toby loved the Sooners. He was on the sidelines of countless football and basketball games and was there when the OU softball team clinched its third consecutive national championship last June. And the Toby logo was on the 25th yard line for the OU spring football game. You saw it just there on Circle Country. So Toby will be getting that honorary degree from Oklahoma, and we are so proud of him. And although I'm a Bama girl, Boomer Sooner, I'll say it this morning.
Yeah, and it kind of was reminiscent of Michael Jordan's logo a little bit. The way he was standing there, you know, it was an on stage with his arm pumped up like the Michael Jordan dunk shot that became the famous Jordan logo.
Exactly. Also, our friend Dasha, who was in studio with us just a few weeks ago before she performed on the CMT Awards, her incredibly viral song, Austin, who at the time when she came in had 3.2 billion streams on TikTok, which is insane. It's probably doubled by that point. She just did a music video for that song, and a friend of mine was actually in it. Here's a little clip if you're watching on Circle Country. There was a pop punk star personality, Jaden. That's her love interest in this video. It's beautifully shot, and of course, you'll see here in just a second on Circle Country, featuring the famous line dance that played a role in making this so popular. This was shot here in Nashville. My friend Caroline, who is actually a University of Alabama cheerleader, is an extra in this music video, so that was really exciting. And she said the music video shoot was such a fun day. From the start, the vibe of everyone on set was so genuinely excited and happy to be there. They really helped me bring the visions of the song to life. And we're, of course, very excited about this song because when it went viral, the whole world got to see the WSM Grand Ole Opry mic flag because it happened to be at the American Legion Center, just sitting there ready for her to use.
Well, she'll be standing at the real WSM mic flag on Saturday, June 15th, when she makes her Grand Ole Opry debut. So pretty cool.
How exciting
and
is
John
that?
Connolly's going to line dance with her, doing those moves.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That would be, can I be there to get that for socials? I mean, that has, now you've spoken it into existence. We have to do it now. And of course, we mentioned Miss Kelly Sutton a little earlier. We got to tell you how you can keep up with her as she covers Stagecoach this weekend. Amazon Prime Video and Amazon Music's Twitch channel will allow fans to watch acts from the comfort of their home in their sweatpants, with access to a shower at any time that you want. That's my favorite part about not going to a festival.
Good point.
The desert in Indio gets very dusty and stinky. Stagecoach will be this weekend, the 26th through the 28th. Friday night, Eric Church is headlining. So tonight, Saturday, Miranda Lambert, and Sunday, Morgan Wallen. We don't know who the token surprise guest is going to be. They always fly someone in dramatically on a helicopter.
Well, wait a minute. You remember last year what happened? Involved the Grand Ole Opry and a new member.
Oh, it was the most random invite of circumstances ever.
It involved Opry Dan Rogers,
Yes.
Guy Fieri, Alan Jackson, and an Opry invitation for John Party.
I love that Guy Fieri was a part of that. My most random Nashville interview story was being sent to interview Mario Lopez while he was shooting a Hallmark Christmas movie at Guy Fieri's Chicken Restaurant in downtown Broadway, which is no longer there. So Guy Fieri just works his way into so many cool experiences, and I love that for him. And real quick, if it's payday today, right, folks? Okay, if you want to get yourself a gift, or for another country music lover in your life, Lainey Wilson has finally dropped a hat line. You know, she's always styling her bell-bottoms with her gorgeous hats. And Charlie One Horse and Lainey Wilson have put together a collection. How many did you say? There's 9 hats, Charlie?
There's 13.
There's 13.
And 6 of the styles have already sold out.
Yes.
There's 7 still available online. And your hat is still available.
Yes, my favorite is a bright red hat that has sort of embedded silver metal rhinestones. There it is if you're watching on Circle Country. I'm going to go buy that one with my payday today before it sells out. So you can go get that over on charlie1horsehats.com.
Charlie One Horse earned his reputation for restoring pride to worn-out hats. Although Charlie One Horse gained recognition for his work in the mountains outside of Taos, New Mexico, his reputation spread over the Midwest and Western states. Now with the help of Lainey Wilson all over the world. All right, Charlie, quickly run your Friday night Opry lineup.
Jeannie Seeley, Mark and Maggie O'Connor, Charlie Worsham will be there along with Tommy Emmanuel, John R. Miller making his debut, Tierra Kennedy, Sean Dietrich, and Ricky Skaggs.
Mark and Maggie O'Connor not only at the Opry, but Coffee Country and Cody Monday, along with Chris Jacobs after making his Opry debut this weekend. See you next week.
Bye. Yay!